Hey everyone, welcome to lesson 2 of the Learn Ads Facebook Ads course. This video is titled The Science of Return on Investment. So our learning objectives: after completing this lesson, you'll be able to outline the journey of a customer, understand the lifetime value of a customer, and evaluate two advertising concepts, micro and macro. So what are we going to cover? The journey of a customer and how to leverage it, what lifetime value is and why you should know yours, and the differences between micro and macro advertising. Now the first thing we're going to touch on here is the journey of a customer. Before thinking about running adverts online, we need to understand the journey that our potential customers take themselves through before they know about our brand. So they start off as complete strangers to our product or a service. And then when they hear about our brand for the first time, they become an engager, somebody who likes, comments, or maybe even shares our posts. Then from an engager to a lead, so they've shared some kind of interest in buying our product or service, to a customer, so they've purchased, and then finally a promoter. Now many business owners think that the journey ends when you acquire a customer, and that's simply not true. We need to make sure we provide an exceptional service and ultimately turn our customers into promoters, so they tell all of their friends and family about our product or our service, and they essentially become our outbound sales team. So how do we take people or guide potential customers through this journey? Well, we start off with strangers, and we need to attract them into engagers. We need to show them something which is going to make them want to engage with our brand. From an engager, we convert them into leads. We want to give them some kind of offer or some reason for them to make contact with our business. From a lead, we close them, we get that purchase. And then finally, we delight them with the exceptional service that we provide, and that customer becomes a promoter. So it's important we get a grip with the journey of our customers, because when we're building an advertisement strategy, we need to have a strategy that feeds into each of these areas on this journey. Now, when thinking about your customer's journey, I want you to visualize it in the form of a funnel. The funnel is a sales and marketing concept which is used to explain, in this instance, your advertising strategy. We're going to be referring back to the funnel as we continue to develop through this course, because it allows us to get a top-down view of our strategy and build well-rounded advertising campaigns. So it's called a funnel because essentially we're putting large stranger-based audiences, potential customers who don't hear about us, into the top of our conceptual advertising funnel, and we're ultimately squeezing them through down their customer's journey till they ultimately become promoters for our business. So when we're building out strategies, when we're thinking about advertising campaigns, we're doing this with the funnel in mind every single time. Now, the best and most successful advertisers don't look at short-term wins. They're always thinking about the bigger, long-term picture, which is why I want you familiar with concepts like the customer journey and the funnel. But equally, another concept which is just as important to understand is lifetime value of a customer. Now, in marketing, customer lifetime value is a prediction of the revenue attributed to the entire future relationship with a customer. So essentially, all the money that a customer will spend with you over their lifetime on average. Now, to explain this concept, I want to run through a couple of different business industries and how lifetime value affects those businesses when they are advertising online. So let's start with a barbershop, and let's say their cost per acquisition, so their cost to acquire a new customer, is £50 on Facebook ads. And the purchase value, so the front end value, is £20. It's around a £20 haircut. But if we just consider this, we just consider the purchase value, then this barbershop has lost £30 on the front end, okay, because they've spent £50 to get a £20 purchase. But if we consider the lifetime value of £200, and we consider that these customers are attending this barbershop at least 10 times, getting at least 10 cuts over their lifetime, then actually this advertising campaign was extremely successful. There's a 4 times return on investment here when we consider the lifetime value. And if we think of barbershops, people don't like to move around from salon to salon. Lots of gentlemen have trust issues when it comes to their hair, and so they like to stay in one place. If we find a good barber, we stay with that barber, and so our lifetime value is very high, which is why it's very important for barbers to take LTV, or lifetime value, into consideration when they are advertising online, so they don't turn off potentially profitable campaigns. Now, another example here is an online course business. Let's say we're spending £200 to acquire a customer and the course is £2,000. You'd be pretty happy with that return on investment. That's a 10 times return on investment. But let's imagine that this business has a series of upsells, and over the course of a lifetime, a customer is actually spending around £4,000 on average. That's actually a 20 times return on investment on this advertising campaign when we consider the lifetime value. Then finally, we have an e-commerce store. Let's just say this is a generic e-commerce store, not selling any products in particular. We're spending around £5 to acquire a new customer, an average purchase value of £10, which is a 2 times return on investment on the front end. But if we consider the lifetime value when people come back again and again because they were happy with the products they received to start off with, they might spend on average £30 over their lifetime, which actually means this advertising campaign got a 6 times return on investment. So it's incredibly important we consider lifetime value when we are doing any kind of online advertising or any kind of marketing for that matter. Now, the best Facebook ads are those that profit on the front end, although sometimes this is a privilege. Like we just went through with the barbershop, some businesses will need to take into account the lifetime value of their customer, whilst the majority of companies out there will be able to profit on the front end of their advertising efforts. So a good understanding of your customer's lifetime value will allow you to scale in a much more calculated way. You might find that you're running an advert on Facebook and at some point you consider turning that advert off. But when you actually run the maths and calculate your lifetime value, you realize that that advert is much more profitable than it initially looks on the front end. Now, a strong lifetime value comes from customer retention, repeat purchases, and a series of cross-sells and upsells. If you want to increase the lifetime value of your customer, you need to ensure that your customer journey is flawless. You're providing an exceptional service to every single person that buys your products, so they want to keep coming back and buying other products that you have to offer. So the final concept I want to move on to in this video is micro versus macro advertising. And this concept will help you to understand or get an expectation of what kind of return on investment to expect when advertising on Facebook for your business. When any business advertises on Facebook, they're going to fall into one of two of these categories, micro versus macro. So a micro business is generally a small niche business with relatively limited audience size. They have a very high profit potential and their ROAS, so their return on ad spend, will generally be larger. But because of the small and limited audience sizes, they're generally harder to scale than other businesses online. I want to give you an example right now. So this is an example of a micro advertiser. Here we have the garden furniture company who produce handmade wooden garden furniture, a very small niche product to a small niche audience. We spent £1,000 on this advertising campaign, returned 17,000 back, and so this is reflected in the ROAS, the return on ad spend, which is a very profitable 16 times. So moving on to macro, these are generally large niche businesses with relatively large audience sizes. They have lower ROAS due to the high competition because they're running to very large audience, very broad product audiences. But that being said, they are very, very scalable because these audiences are large in their size. So here's an example of a macro advertiser. This is a jewelry brand, so a very large niche running through to a very broad audience because pretty much anybody can wear jewelry. A $64,000 campaign, and we returned $210,000 for this business. So a very profitable 3.3 times return on ad spend for this particular business. So generally speaking, a macro advertiser is a large niche business which has the capacity to run ads to a very broad audience, but that is reflected in their return on ad spend because there is a lot more competition within their space. A micro advertiser, again, is a smaller niche business running through to smaller audiences. They have a much larger profit margin, more potential for a higher ROAS, but they are less scalable because the audience sizes are limited. Now, I wanted to explain these concepts to you because I want you to start thinking about whether you could be a micro or a macro advertiser. And once you understand that, it's going to enable you to manage your expectations for when you start running ads on Facebook. Now, this is not to say that micro advertisers can't scale their ad spend to, let's say, 6 figures a month. It's simply explaining the differences between smaller niche businesses and larger niche businesses when it comes to advertising on Facebook. So, that is the end of this lesson. Learning summary, you will now be able to outline the journey of a customer, understand the lifetime value of a customer, and evaluate 2 advertising concepts, micro and macro.